Hello neighbors, it's Brad here at eTrailer, and today we are taking a look at the Swagman XC2 two-bike platform style bike rack on a 2022 Acura MDX. When it comes to hitch mounted bike racks, there's plenty of options out there, but really you're going to divide those in two different ways. One of them being hanging bike racks, which have arms that come out and your bike simply hangs on there and you strap those on. The other style is going to be your platform, and that's what we have here. The platform style, as a rider myself, is my preferred method. I've had both of them, and I can tell you that the platform style gives me no really sense that it's going to have my bike falling off, whereas sometimes my hanging can do that at times. And a lot of the problems with the platform style is it comes at a premium price point that might be out of the range for folks. So the hanging style is what they resort to. And that's where this one fills that void. This bike rack is pretty no frills, I'll admit that, and it's relatively simple, but that's what makes it great. It does everything that it needs to well without adding a bunch of excess. And the way that that's done is this ratcheting style hoop here. So this is a frame mount. And if you want to dive into more things, the platform style, you have your frame mounts here, which, as the name implies, attaches to the frame. Your other style is going to be your wheel mount, which you can see in other premium bike racks. But this is going to be great for a bunch of different bike styles. It can account for pretty much any frame shape or size because this ratcheting allows for it to adjust down to the lowest point of the frame and keep it in place. Now this point of contact does a really good job of holding it in. It's got a nice rubber pad here that's not going to scratch your frame, and it ratchets down so you can audibly hear it click down knowing it's going to be tight. In a lot of other bike racks, platform style, you'll have straps here that go on the wheels, and that's going to give you added holding power. But the way this one works has wheel hoops, and so the tire still sits in there. And once that ratchets down, the pressure between the two really creates a great hold. Now, something I should point out is your frame mounted bike racks are not really conducive to carbon frame bikes because of that pressure being put on the carbon. Sometimes that can cause it to warp or possibly crack. So you're gonna wanna go with the wheel style on that. But for pretty much any other bike, this is gonna be great. I carry my mountain bike on here, which is a 29-inch, a large bike, and it stays very planted. Now, there are some limitations, but this thing adjusts to most. Limitation is going to be at the wheel here. These hoops are only so wide, but it's going to allow you to put up to a 2.5-inch wide tire. So that's going to encompass a lot of your mountain bikes. So your fat tire bikes aren't going to work on here, unfortunately, but for pretty much everything else, it shouldn't be a problem. Now, I ride my bikes, but sometimes I like to take my kids with me. And so will this fit children's bikes? And yes, it will. And that is accomplished by simply being able to slide these hoops to account for whatever wheelbase you may need. Once it's in place, you simply turn the knob and it'll be custom suited to that bike. So if you are hauling around the same bikes kind of over and over, once these are set, it'll be perfectly set for that bike every single time. This bike rack has a weight rating of 35 pounds per bike, so a total of 70. So again, that's something you're going to want to measure your bike, make sure that it's not overdoing it on this rack. Now, as you can see, pretty simple, but taking the bike off is just as simple, which is awesome. So again, you have this ratcheting style. So to loosen it up, you just simply push this button here, and then this slides up. So you can take this off if you choose to, and then you can simply just lift your bike up and out of the way. So again, this system is really nice. As you want to lock your bike in place, you just push it down, and hearing those clicks, you know that it's actually holding it. So it's a great hold on the bike itself without causing any damage. So some of the other things that other premium bike racks can offer as well is a tilt feature. So while your bikes are on here, you can tilt this down, and that's going to gain you access to your rear hatch. This one does not have that feature, but don't let that be a make or break, because it does have another redeeming quality about this. This pin here, which is attached to a nice wire, pull that out. It's kind of nice. That way if you drop it, you're not lost without the pin. This folds down, and that way, if you don't have your bikes and you need to access your hatch, it's no problem. So that's a nice added feature. So once you're at the trail or wherever you're riding, you could set your bike aside and be able to get all your accessories, whether helmet, snacks, whatever you need for riding. Or if you're just out and about grocery shopping, you can still access your trunk without having to take this off. Now let's do some quick measurements here. So on this center point of the Acura, you can see it kind of wedges in. We're going to measure from that being the furthest point out on the vehicle to the furthest point out where our wheel hoops are. It's going to be 21 inches. So that's going to be important to note. If you plan on keeping this on here and you need to back into your garage, you're going to be adding that much more to your vehicle. Now, something else that you'll want to check is how close it's actually going to be. So from here to the outside edge of the wheel hoop is 9 inches. So when loading your bike on, you might want to measure the center point to figure out kind of where your pedals are going to sit. And something else that's worth noting is my bike, the handlebars are quite wide at about 31 inches. Tested it out with our bike and measured it, and the way that this roofline is, it works well with wider handlebar bikes. So that's an added plus. Something else that I really like about this bike rack is the fact that this shank actually goes up. So you get a little bit more ground clearance, which is awesome, because a lot of times with accessories, as you're going up an incline, this is going to go closer to the ground. Well, with this raised up, you gain a lot more. In fact, from the bottom to the ground is 16 inches. So if you're hitting mountain bike trails or kind of going off the beaten path, you should be okay. But also keep in mind, if you are going up steep inclines, that this could bottom out. Another really great feature about this is this has an adapter here. So while we have a 2-inch receiver tube opening, this actually can be reduced down to 1.25 inches. So if you have two different vehicles or you plan on getting something different in the future, this bike rack can go along with you and still be able to be used. Also included with the bike rack is the Anti-Rattle hitch pin. So as you tighten this down and clip it into place, it's actually going to cinch this up to take any slop away inside of the receiver tube opening. So if I give this a shake, notice there's no slop. The vehicle's moving, but the bike rack itself is perfectly still. Continuing on with the great benefits of this bike rack is the fact that how compact it is. So again, with the same pin as we saw in the center mast, you can simply just pull these out and it folds up to a nice compact footprint here. So it really doesn't take up much space, and honestly it's very light. So if you don't plan on keeping it on your vehicle at all times and you want to store it in your garage or inside, this is going to be awesome because it doesn't take up much space and it's going to be easy to lift and put it back on your vehicle when you need it.
This is our test course. Let's start with the slalom. This shows side-to-side action, such as turning corners or evasive maneuvering. Then onto our alternating speed bumps. This shows twisting action, such as hitting curbs, potholes, road debris, or even uneven pavement. Last of all, the solid speed bumps. This shows up and down action, such as driving through a parking lot or parking garage, or driving in and out of a driveway.
And that was a look at the Swagman XC2 2-bike platform style bike rack on a 2022 Acura MDX. Thanks for watching.